If I asked you to get a piece of paper and something to write with, and to make a numerical list of all the things that you would be willing to die for, how long is your list?
Panther 48.
Willing to die for.
Panther 48.
Willing to die for. How long is your list?
What is the tribal self?
Panther
The
48.
tribal self is what goes above the immediate acquaintances of the social.
Willing to die
The
for.
family, the people you know, live next door.
You would be willing
I'm
to
talking
die
about
for.
tribal self.
Panther 48.
I'm talking about those movies, those yes, I'm heard. Getting questions. That ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is a
Those who are formerly incarcerated
Let's check it
or
out.
who have
Right there.
a conviction for a crime, that will no longer prohibit people from being eligible for small business loans. Help me get the word out. That's why I'm here.
Well, that's good, because you might as well be able to get a small business loan, because you can be president, too, with a criminal record. So that's a nice exchange. Ain't that about a...
Yeah.
You know, look, I've been reading this paper because I got to stay to the... I got a headache trying to stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dunk. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I go down there. I'm sorry. Madam.
All right. Now, before we continue, let me make sure that I give a little credit, because we're using somebody else's video as 11 Alive. We're just simply using these videos for the express purposes of giving our critique. So we're using these videos specifically for that reason there. So what do y'all think about that? That was Steve. Did y'all want to go into some more, Steve? Or was that good enough?
We can talk a little bit about that, and then if you want to play another one, we can. But first thing I would say about that is one of the things to me when we got to look at that is just the tactical approach of getting us to lower our guard by humor and making joke and making light of something, and then at the same time allowing the agenda and allowing her to come in with whatever she got to say. So it's like basically his technique was to defuse you and then allow the show to go on. And so to me, that's just a classic technique. Now, what he's saying about they ain't gonna do nothing, for black people in the White House. I mean, see, the thing is, he's making a valid point, but the way he making it, he basically making it sound as though it's justifiable and it's to be expected. But the bottom line is we need to vote. So it's like he's creating what and I forgot the word for it, but basically he's creating a situation where one thing don't add up to the other thing. But he's saying it right next to each other as if, regardless of it not making logical sense, we should do it anyway. But by making it funny, it's almost like he's taking your guard away and making you just buy into it. just for the sake of doing it because he said so. And the idea of saying that our vote won't count the next time because of what we don't vote this time, I've never heard of that concept, because you cannot vote almost your entire life and then decide to go to vote and vote one day. And when you vote for whatever you voting for, that's you voting for that. Regardless of the fact that you have not voted in the past, that has no relevance on what you vote for in the future. So to say that if you don't vote now, your vote won't count next time, that I didn't quite understand what that even meant. That just didn't make sense. But the way he said what he said is just basically meant to me to trip people up, to defuse them and disarm them and allow her to come in with her rhetoric.
Well, I think this is what he was trying to say to people. I'm not saying I agree with it. I think this is what he was trying to say, the message he was trying to get across to us. It's like, boom, you're in the streets and it's saying, you know, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. So he said, man, we can't get you. He said, I'm throwing her a lob. So I'm not going to put her on the stage and ask all them hard questions and put her on the spot. He said, we can't get her in there if we do all that. Let's get her, we gonna sneak through the back door. Let's get her in there first. You know, that's way he seems like he's trying to come off with what he's saying to me. And E, what do you think? What is your thought process on Steve Harvey and his political opinion?
Well, I mean, the whole premise is about is moronic as he is. You know, this idea, number one, you selling this idea that, because one of the things he said is they got to get the word out, the things that they have done, the things that they want to do, blah, 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 as if they've done anything for us in the first place. You know, Kamala's running around starting to make these campaign promises about, you know, the whole tips, not taxing tips, which she's the one that broke that cast the deciding vote when they were deciding whether or not to come after people's tips. She's the one that voted in favor of it. She's talking about what she's gonna do about the borders because it's an issue, blah, blah, blah. But she's been the border czar now for I don't know how long, and is still the vice president and ain't doing shit. So all of this promising what you're gonna do, but you're in a position to do it now. So again, this idea that we gotta get the word out and get them up in there so that they can, that's nonsense. On top of that, it's just on the one hand, he's saying, quit asking for shit, just get her in there, or next time you won't be able to ask shit. That doesn't make any damn sense. Stop asking questions so you can get somebody in there that you can't ask questions of. That's nonsense. So it's the same shit. It's the stuff that Malcolm warned us about, and the celebrities are getting dumber and dumber. You know, it's the same thing as Megan being on stage. It's the same thing as Trump when he appeared with, I forget the dude, some local rap cats. I forget their names, but he was chuckling it up with them, looking at their gold teeth, talking about, how do I get some of those? I like those. I'm gonna get me some of those gold teeth, blah, blah, blah. It's the same shit. They're selling the bullshit through our entertainment because we keep looking to entertainers as fucking leadership. And just like Malcolm said way back then, what other group of people does that shit? White people don't look to George Clooney or none of these folks, Steven Spielberg, as their leadership. It's nonsense. But we look at motherfuckers that can bounce a ball and tell a good coon joke. We think they're leadership, and we fall in line and do what they tell us to do. Motherfuckers have no clue and will jump on the bandwagon just because she black. And I get the feeling. I remember the day, boy, I don't know if you remember when Obama, when he won, we were driving over the bridge on, what's that road to go to the airport in Orlando, Sand Lake or Sandy Bridge or some shit, Sand something. We was coming over the bridge and we was both sitting there. You was driving, we was going along. And it's like, wow, like it's a black dude in the White House. We was like, you know, taken aback, just the fact that it's a black, we never expected to see that shit. Didn't expect anything from it, didn't get anything from it. Haven't got anything from her. Why the hell do we expect to get anything from her? You know, it's the same bullshit. And the stuff, and it shows how right Malcolm and them were when they talked about and broke that type, because Malcolm wasn't the only one, but you know, that's the one I'm gonna go to. But broke this whole shit down about following entertainers. They're not qualified, period. That's why they entertain. That's why they do what they do, because that's what they're good at. Matter of fact, the whole idea, you think about it. You look at somebody that's an actor. Think about it. An actor who is passionate about Kamala or passionate about Obama, they're paid to make you forget the actual reality when you go to the movie. And the better they are on screen, the more you forget that you're watching a movie. So now here they are in real life, helping you forget that you're watching real life shit by making you feel a certain way. They're doing exactly what they're paid for. And we keep falling in, locking step with motherfuckers who have no clue, especially somebody like Steve Harvey, who already sat on his show and told Monique, there's no way, for the sake of my integrity, that basically I'm gonna give up this money and stand ground on da-da-da. He actually said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Fuck integrity. I want this money. I need to pay. This is what he said. So we talk about all this shit in the community about keeping it real and, all it, which I don't even know if motherfuckers talk about that shit anymore. But then we look at people like this and we don't hold them accountable. This man told us his character, his integrity means nothing to him. He will take a check and give it to you. And now
we gotta flex a different way. We out here in a game. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This the money game.
But
we in the money game. And you cannot sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. You cannot help them.
We're in the money game. But let me tell you what the game is before the money game.
Like this.
Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
But Mo,
wait a minute.
If I crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble. I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement. There are ways to win the war in a different way.
That face says it all to me right there.
Yeah, it's a part in there though where he say, oh no, that was a come down thing, but that's another company, because somebody took that video and they put it alongside one of his comedy sketches, and he was saying that somebody told him, I can't remember what actor it was, that they wanted them to play on the Planet of the Apes. And he said, I ain't finna play on no Planet of the Apes. And Steve was like, yeah, how much was they gonna pay you? And he was like, I can't remember the number. I'm just gonna make a number up. They're gonna pay me $2 million. He said, but $2 million, he said, I'd have been scratching
I swing to work on a vine. I put that in one of the bishops. I swing to work on a vine for $10 million.
$10 million? For $4 million? I'll be all the motherfucking monkey you can stand. Black people will be so embarrassed by my motherfucking performance, you'll be sitting up there just going, look at this big lip son of a bitch. You ain't got to act like that much of a motherfucking monkey. Be picking shit off me looking at it. Be walking around that motherfucker. I be digging in my ass. Motherfucker, for 10 million, kiss my ass. Motherfucker, I am a monkey. Motherfucker, I swing in on the vine to work.
I'll be a monkey. Yeah, exactly that. And that's the cowardice that we follow. This dude is telling you he is a coward. He will not put everything on the line to be a stand-up motherfucker. He has turned it over and said, I'm giving you all the integrity, all the character, all of anything that makes a man, because that's all a man. What your boy Scarface? All I got is my word and my balls, and I don't break them for nobody. He's breaking them. He's giving them away. He's taking everything that manhood is and turning it over for a fee, and we're following that shit. That's the example that we have now. I meant to, matter of fact, when you do the editing, you might grab something from somebody like Paul Robeson. I don't know if you've ever talked or seen, but this dude was like, America's racist and a motherfucker. Fuck y'all, I'm going to Paris. And he left. Josephine Baker did it. What's her name? Nina Simone. When she used to have concerts, we talking about y'all are black, y'all are beautiful. This is da-da-da-da-da. And that's one of the things that I work on for IG, one of the little drops is whatnot, to compare and contrast. At least when Malcolm was around, there was some semblance. Matter of fact, there was some semblance of integrity. Cab Calloway, when he was taking over for Duke Ellington in the Cotton Club, You know, they had dancers that would be with them. It was, I don't know if y'all have ever seen them shows from the Cotton Club, but like in like Harlem Nights and shit. But they'd have backup dancers while they sing and the band plays and shit. And the Cotton Club had a brown paper bag rule, basically.
That's what I was gonna say.
Girls, your dance girls had to be about this age and couldn't be any darker than this. And Cab was like, yo, I got dark-skinned women dancing with me. Either you take us or you don't. We walk. We're out of here. And there was no other star at the time to fill Duke Ellington's shoes in the Cotton Club. So eventually they had to cave in and give him his way. So at least during those years, there was some level of responsibility to the community, some level of integrity. We gave a fuck what the next black man thought. We didn't want to let other motherfuckers down and show ourselves to be punks out here. But now being a punk is what it is you're supposed to do. And part of it is because of the leadership that or the people that we look to for leadership are those punks. They are the biggest sellouts. They will do any fucking thing. If you've ever looked at Hollywood, these motherfuckers will do any fucking thing in order to move up. The most popular ones, fuck a dude fuck a dude, chick fuck a dick, chick do whatever it takes to move up, and he's one of them. And that's one of the reasons we are where we are, because even those we look to entertain and keep us jovial have no sense of responsibility to us at all.
Well, to me, when you said coward, I wouldn't call that a coward. I would just simply call it somebody whose soul is for sale. He's a slave. He's a slave, but he's a slave that markets itself. So he don't mind being exploited. He don't. In his mind, we've lost the game if we're unwilling to play the game. That's the
cowardice stuff. That's the cowardice. That's the easy way out. That's the easy to go and get.
Well, I wouldn't. Let me say this. I wouldn't necessarily call it a coward, because if I sell my soul for that, that's just what that is. I give my allegiance. He is giving his allegiance to the dollar. That's his attitude.
Because it's the easy way out.
I don't think it's easy. I wouldn't sit here and say that's easy. I would not call it easy, because let me tell you why I say that. Let me tell you why I don't say that's easy. I'm not defending him, but let me tell you why I don't say that's easy. I don't say that's easy because regardless, there's millions of black folks, unfortunately, that would line themselves up to be in his shoes. But guess what? You ain't worthy enough. It has to do with a person's ability to be a Pied Piper and bring other people to the slaughter. Not most motherfuckers are not talented and powerful enough in terms of their vocabulary to be able to bring in the masses of people to the slaughter.
That motherfucker ain't no more talented than anybody else. He ain't no more talented. The difference is he's willing to do whatever it takes, and he was in the right place and fucked over. Ask Bernie Mac, fucked over the right folks in order to get the options that he got. And it is cowardice, I say, because you living in a multi-million-dollar mansion, private jets, kicking it, laid back parlaying. I don't give a fuck what your daily schedule is, how much of a grind it is, how much hate mail and haters you got. That is way easier than being a nigga in the hood trying to survive off scraps day to day, having to watch over your shoulder for everything coming your way. That's a whole much.
If you put it that way, yeah. But when I say he ain't a coward, I'm simply saying that he's like, to me, he's like a fox. He's like somebody that's, again, willing to play the game, because his attitude is he will sell his people out in order to get where he got to get.
That's some cowardly shit.
And you've always had that. And I think what's going on here is perspective, because in E, that's cowardice. In E's mind, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in E's mind, I think E feels like once you get at a certain level, you have a responsibility to the community to be willing to commit revolutionary suicide if you have to. And he's not willing to do that. But I see exactly what you're saying, War. And E, one thing you can't, everybody that don't have what he got, because the guy is witty enough to captivate people that want to watch him and do what he say. When he write his books, women want to do what he say. When he on Price is Right, people want to watch him. So
that's because of the notoriety.
He is that Pied Piper. He does have that ability. But you're right, he did mess over a lot of people. I mean, that Cat Williams interview with Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay, he talked a lot about what these people do. But yeah, that is part of the game.
But to me, this is what I'm telling y'all. The whole point is to be able to get people sacrificed. So
Yeah.
in order to stay in that game, in order to be smart enough and powerful enough to stay in that game, you got to know how to play chess, and you got to know how to get the right people sacrificed in order to get where you're trying to go. That's selling your soul. To me, that's the whole point. The whole point is if you're gonna be a devil, if you're gonna be a demon, you got to be a goddamn good demon. Period. And that's what I see him. I don't necessarily think that's being a coward. I think that's selling yourself out. And if you're willing to sell out your whole entire race, get where you got to get, and then just turn right back around and justify it by saying, I needed to do this for my grandparents, my children, my children's children. See, he's basically letting you know right down. He drawing the line in the sand, and he flat out saying, "Fuck all my people. It's about my immediate family, and I'm willing to sell my soul for all of that." I'm not justifying it. I'm just calling it what it is. I'm calling the evil what it is. It is. It's just straight up evil. But but what I'm saying is, not everybody, most people ain't even cut out to be evil. That is not in our nature to be that dang sliverous and snake-like. Most of us don't have, and that's why Monique threw the word integrity out there. He don't get it. And I will have to correct you on one thing you said, Syke. You have to be revolutionary, have to accept revolutionary suicide before you get to that level. You can't reverse somebody. Once you done got a taste of that bug, if it ain't in you, it ain't gonna ever be in you.
It ain't gonna never,
You have to already have integrity and already have a connection with your community before you get associated with that. Because anybody that has seen that, and I can attest to this because I done had an opportunity to get in that lane. Anytime anybody has that opportunity, if you ain't already grounded in integrity, already in somebody that is about their people, you will sell your folks out and you would lead people to the slaughter. Bottom line, straight up. And and just like any other profit game, any other exploitative game, the idea here is every year, year after year, you have to be able to bring more and more people to the slaughter. That's what it's about. Hollywood. Remember, folks, for folks y'all that don't know, the word Hollywood comes from a type of wood that is used to spell cast. There is a type of wood called Hollywood, and it's a wood that they use to make wands. So the whole point is it's about like any other business. Steve Harvey is a business. He's a brand. Whatever I do this year, in order to make it in the game and to stay relevant next year, I got to be more innovative, and I got to find more people willing to follow me, back me, support me, and do what I say. I got to maintain that. Is the minute I'm not able to lead the people where I want to take them and where they want, which by the way, he got a handler. So when they say where he want to take them, is really him speaking through somebody else. So if the minute he's not relevant and he's not able to do that, they will drop him. That's the whole aspect of selling your soul to that game. You have to be viable. You have to stay in the game. You have to stay relevant no matter what. And if you're not able to stay relevant, there's other demons in line ready to take your place. And they will sacrifice you the same way you will sacrifice them if you ain't on that chessboard right. That is a cutthroat industry, a cutthroat environment, and you got to be all about poison. And that's all I'm saying.
And if you understand that concept, you take that same concept of being the Pied Piper and apply that to Al Sharpton and all the rest of them, because it's the same fucking game.
Oh yeah.
Got the position and power and TV shows and all of that because they kept bringing more and more votes and all that to the White House or to whoever is running. So it's the same idea. It's the same capitalistic thrust of getting more and more to show up your position to make sure you get more incoming, whether it's money or whether it's votes. It all boils down to the same attempt to gather up all of these souls, all of these votes, all of this money, and move. Matter of fact, call them the same thing. Money is a vote. So you take all of those votes, whether it's economic or it's a political vote, and you wrangle them and steer them in. And we keep being the fucking children following R. Kelly off to the pit slaughter. We keep on doing that shit.
Yeah.
Whatever the entertainment's name is.
But people don't realize that that's the whole idea of paying. See, when we take it back to the dynamic reference point, we're talking about paying. And from that standpoint, paying's job was just that, to be able to do the bidding of bringing in the souls. And see, we tend to forget that. We tend to forget the origin of what all this stuff is about. And so when we're studied and we know what we're up against, then we see right through that. And I think when, at least in that reference point of that video, Monique saw that, and when she used the word integrity, and he tried to manipulate that word and try to overcome that word, his whole thing was really not trying to. He wasn't trying to win her over anyway. He was trying to win over the audience, and so the audience clapped. And so from that standpoint, there was nothing else she really could say, because you in a room full of people that just don't get it, and they're not gonna get it. And so
I know how to feel. I know how that
feels. You
feels.
can say.
Cause she said, now he said, we playing the money game. And she said, but before the money game, there's the integrity game. And then he came back with what he came with, and they all clapped for him.
Yeah, he's a fool. And again, if you, I don't know if y'all saw that clip, and I haven't 100% verified, but I'm looking at it. But that clip of Busta Rhymes in a dress, that shit's tripping me out on stage.
That tripped me out.
He's in a fucking dress, and it's the same thing with these cats. The other fool that was on the Rapidu male that was in a dress on Saturday Night Live, Cunning, something like that. But he was in a dress, and it's all been built. It's the same shit Dave Chappelle was talking about, putting us in a dress, and they're selling us that culture. They're getting more of us to run and feed into that culture because it's theirs. And if you really step back and look at a lot of the concerts and things like that, the one that stands out most in my mind is Dark Horse by that white girl some years ago at the some Grammys or some shit. But Dark Horse with these horses, and it was obviously a ritual for Baphomet, and you know, all of this energy, and they're wrangling this shit, moving all of us, taking that energy and pointing it in a particular direction. And we get so caught up in what we've been told is voodoo and all of this evil shit and blah blah blah. No. Wait a minute. Let me finish. God damn it. We get so caught up in what it is they've told us that all of this dark shit is, that we don't realize and recognize when we're actually seeing the dark shit. The dark shit looks like light. It looks like Steve Harvey. That's some dark shit. But we're so ass backwards and so into the mindset of following whoever makes us feel good, not who tells us the truth. You know, not somebody that lays it on the line and puts their integrity where it should be, but somebody that makes us feel good. Let's face it, that's, you know, you win over a lot of motherfuckers by just making them feel good. Motherfuckers go to church because it feels good, not because they're growing, but because it feels good and they enjoy it. And that's a problem. Stop fucking enjoying shit and start doing what needs to be done. Wish I'd get some enjoyment. Shit.
Well, the word I was trying to say earlier was cognitive dissonance. And basically what that is when you have something that two different things that's illogical, that don't make sense, but you're trying your hardest to make sense of it. And by making sense of it, you basically just accept it for what it is. And it becomes the new norm of sense, of logic, when it ain't. You gonna mess with my word? Let me get my point across first. So that's what it is. So once he set in and done that, then at that point, now your mind is warped to accepting this concept that really don't make sense for the sake of just moving forward with it. And that's where we are with a lot of this stuff. It just don't really make sense. But once I bought into that definition that does not make any logical sense, now I'm stuck in that mode. And so now it's that much easier to manipulate everything else because you've already got me off course. And now I'm going to remain dysfunctional in terms of my logic. Now go ahead, E.
I just wanted to Woridian check that would be cognitive dissonance for all the English speakers out there, just, you know, so you can stay on board. Sorry about that. You know how it is. But yeah, and the fact that we're emotional and we operate off our emotions makes that dissonance that much easier to accomplish. You don't have to make sense to somebody that's emotional. You just have to play into their emotions. You say the sun rises in the west, and as long as you're making them feel good while you say it, they gonna believe that shit. It don't fucking matter whether it makes sense. It's just feeling good. And that you know, most of what we do in our non-work time is to make us feel better. That's why I don't really like technology. What was it on? Not that I don't like technology. I don't like the way that it's applied. But on Boondocks, where that white dude talking about cell phones and shit was years ago, talking about how cell phones and shit are nigga technology. And motherfuckers play games on the shit and whatnot, do anything productive. And so as long as we into tech, ignorant or nigga technology or nigga movies or any of that shit, we'll keep on falling for that dissonance and think that it makes sense. And it's just, it's silly.
All right, I got one. I'm gonna show you another one. I'm gonna show y'all. This one is of Ricky Smiley, and some say, but essentially, well, let's play it and let's see what we think about it.
I can't stand that nigga.
I'm just sick of the black people on the internet talking about I'm not with her. Okay, so if you're not with her, that means you with Trump. And y'all need to block every last one of their asses on Facebook and on Instagram and social media and stop. Like, that's just garbage. It's just garbage.
Can
Everybody
we be
got to
united
find,
on anything?
Can't agree on a damn bucket of chicken. One person want a hot dog.
I always complain.
Black folks get on my damn nerves, man. Why everybody making all these celebrities making all these videos going off on Kamala Harris and stuff, and then the black men, Kamala Harris didn't prosecute you and treated you bad in court. I got treated bad in court too, but I'm with her because a vote for her. If you sit at home and you don't support her, you are definitely supporting Donald Trump. You can vote for who you want to, but don't be trying to encourage other people and sit up there and put bad stuff. Where's that same energy for Donald Trump?
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm just like, don't vote for him. It is what it is.
Y'all not even out here doing real research to look at her record. If you do the research or whatever, stop believing everything you read and do real research, you can see what a record is. You can see what she have done. I think you can Google what have Kamala Harris done for the black community or things that black people benefit from a lot. We need to stand with her.
Yes.
We need to stand with her. She's
all right.
The fuck what is he talking about? What has she done for the black community? What the fuck is he talking about? I didn't even listen to it that far into it because, you know, my stomach, my head, I can only take so much of the bullshit. I didn't get that far into it, but
I would tell you what he basically getting at. What he basically getting at is when the loaf of bread is passed on to the elite, maybe a crumb or two more than the last person, or maybe it dropped in a different sector. That's what he's talking about. He's basically talking about the crumbs.
That's all well and good. It's crumbs. I'm trying to find out what crumbs. What exactly are the crumbs he's talking about?
The crumbs he's talking about is no different than any other person that's been in power. And that's basically by us being the belly of the beast and having the levels of comfort that we got as black people in the belly of the beast, even though we at the bottom. The bottom line is we in the belly of the beast, and we get it more than it. We're treated better than anybody else outside of the Western government, simply because it's the United States that is doing all of the exploitation. It's the United States and the European powers that's destroying everybody else. And y'all Negroes that live in the United States, but it be okay with them damn crumbs that you're getting because it is benefiting us. Notice how he said he don't like black people, because he prefers us to be niggas. So he's speaking to the niggas saying he don't like black people. So he making it sense. He telling you what's up.
So what I'm hearing is you don't know of any crumbs either. You just talking in generalities and theories and ideas, but actual factual. Okay, she passed such and such.
Crumbs are not specific, bro. Crumbs. In other words, if I got a loaf of bread and a crumb falls, I can't really tell the difference between a bread crumb and a cookie crumb because it's so damn small. When I taste it, it all tastes the same.
Well,
that's what a crumb is.
But what
a crumb don't have
a cookie crumb or a bread crumb. It still got substance. It still got substance. Tell me what is it that you call it?
It don't matter what crumb you give me. That shit ain't gonna have no taste to it, bro. A crumb does not have enough in it to taste like anything. There's nothing I can give. It has
enough substance for you to say this is a crumb. What I'm trying to find out is, what are you calling a crumb? What did she physically, tangibly, did she pass a law? Did she, fuck the right dude? What are you calling a crumb?
I wouldn't call that a crumb. If it was something done for black people, it would not be a crumb. If it was something done for black people, it would not be a crumb.
So you have no crumbs either.
I do got, that's just it. We don't want fucking crumbs. Crumbs don't do nothing for me. I will starve to death on a crumb. Okay?
I'm just trying to find out what the fucking crumb is so I can go look it up and fact check that shit. Because he ain't gave me no crumbs. He said, she's done a bunch of stuff for
okay,
what? Oh, well, she had some crumbs. What crumbs? That's all I want to know.
He's lying. When he says that, he's lying. I'm telling you what he's calling it. What he really means is crumbs. Okay, he didn't use that word.
Really
I'm
means
using that word.
what he really means is he's in a particular position where he don't have to look up shit because he's gonna say things that make people feel a certain way. And even though he can't name off she did this, and this, crumb or not. He can't name off any facts. He can say, you need to go look it up and say, rah, rah, you need to trump this and rah, rah, you need to trump that. And people will feel a certain way. And because they feel a certain way, they'll say, yeah, she has done some shit for the people. Well, what? Oh, it don't matter. That's just how I feel. It's the exact same thing. There ain't no fucking crumbs. He's just calling it that because he's in a position where he can say bullshit, just like Kamala says bullshit, and get away with it because we're so happy-go-lucky in our fucking feelings, and it makes us feel good. And that's ultimately what, when people are in as much pain as we're in, that's what we pursue. Whether it's crack or whether it's voting for Kamala, we just want to fucking feel good. That's it.
Another word for you to mess with me with would be psychological divergence. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. When you bring,
you said that. You said good job.
Yeah, okay. I'm about to say you said that right.
Good.
Yeah.
So the deal is when you bring a comedian in and let them say what they gotta say, the idea is to divert your logic so you don't use that. Okay. So he's doing his job.
Wait. Now we pick that apart because that's not altogether true. Because you take somebody like a Dave Chappelle or a George Carlin who are comedians, but
I'm not saying all comedians. I'm saying
wait a minute.
In a comedian.
Distinction. Okay. And I'm drawing a distinction, and I'm gonna show it. Dave Chappelle or George Carlin, they're comedians to me because they are funny, but they do not confuse and cause an abstraction. They're attempting to clear the shit up and focus our attention to something significant through comedy. In fact, David is more of I forget what the word, our word, but the griot idea. And George Carlin too. He's a storyteller, and it's funny along the way, but there's a point. Somebody like Steve Harvey or even Kevin Hart or this guy on here, these are not comedians to me. These are buffoons. These are Negroes in blackface whose whole point is to la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di. It's the difference between low-level slapstick, women ain't shit, niggas is bitches, bah, 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 ah, type of shit that people laugh at and say, oh, that's comedic. You don't have to have a whole lot of skill and talent to say some bullshit that they say. That you just don't. When I look at Dave Chappelle, I say, okay, that's talent, that's ability. He's taking comedy, he's taking a point, he's making it funny, telling the story, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. These other cats are just saying some trigger words that get everybody on board and make everybody go ha-ha. That's not comedy to me. That's that slapstick shit that anybody can do.
You know, the irony of that is, and I find Dave Chappelle to be extremely funny and educational at the same time, but there are a lot of black people that don't even like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
They like Dave Chappelle because they don't get the social commentary that he's speaking on.
Yeah, and I think that's a large part of it because he's not leaning on that buffoonery and just making you ha-ha and forget everything. He's making you ha-ha, whoa, wait a minute. And then you gotta fucking think about some shit. Motherfuckers don't want to think about some shit. Number one. Number two, it's like a lot of British comedies. I came up on Brit comics, Monty Python, shit like that, where it was, you had to really, and even there was a guy, I forget his name, but he was like, he's a comedian, came off of Saturday Night Live, was on Monday Night Football for a while, but his comedy was too highbrow, meaning that you had to be aware of politics and international things that are going on to get his references. He wasn't, and Dave Chappelle doesn't necessarily reference just a homeboy in the hood. He's referencing content and ideas, concepts that are outside our everyday norm. So if you're not keeping up with, say, politics or something like that, you're not going to get some of the things that he says. Like when he did that bit about Little Baby, I was like, what is he talking about? Little Baby? I had to go and look up what this was in order. Oh, okay, now I see. Now it makes sense. Now it's funny. We don't do that. If it ain't about somebody that's in my local street, a nigga or a bitch, then I'm not gonna get it because I can't relate. And that's a big part of comedy is people laugh at shit because, oh, that shit's true. That's real. I can relate to that. And so he relates somewhere that we're not willing to go. Where white people, just like black culture, just like politics, white people will rush into that shit and have those conversations so they're aware of what's going on. And so when Dave Chappelle says something, it's funny to them because they can reference that shit. They get what he's talking about, whereas we don't because we refuse to investigate.
But to me, when I look at that, as far as Dave Chappelle, then we need to move back on topic. I look at that as being a person who chose the field or the career path of comedy in order to direct a political or a conscious message.
Absolutely.
So it's the person. It's not the field.
It's both. One doesn't exist without the other. You know that. Stop fucking with me, War. They both exist together in tandem. There would be no Steve Harvey if there was not a need by the establishment for Steve Harvey. There would be no Steve Harvey if there was not a cult-like following of Negroes that will run behind him. They all have to work in tandem with one another. You know, so yeah, Dave Chappelle, he had his integrity beforehand, and he talks about his moms a lot, and I have to believe that has a lot to do with it. His parents and the situation he grew up in, even though he grew up in the suburbs and whatnot, which a lot of times do outside of the necessary day-to-day grind, but he was aware of it and made himself interjected and became a part of it to whatever degree, because a whole lot of the cats that's in the rap game and whatnot love Dave Chappelle. He kicks it with a lot of them cats a lot of times, but even then it's the same sort of cerebral type of part of that community, the rap community, the hip hop community. So this yeah, he definitely had that integrity going into it, where Steve Harvey went into it for the money. Dave Chappelle went into it because I have something to say. There's a point. My mom's told me these stories. I got to get this shit across to you. I got to let y'all know what time it is, what's going on, and I'm good at making motherfuckers laugh. So that's what I'm going to do. And he proved it wasn't about the money when he walked away from the Chappelle show. I mean, that was it. I was done. I was like, nobody else can touch this dude, because in these modern times, he did the Muhammad Ali. Yeah. He did cat standing on the platform at the Olympics with the fist in the air. That's what the fuck he did. He did the Paul Robeson. The most of these other motherfuckers are not going to do. Now,
right. I got another one for y'all. Unless y'all gonna keep on Dave.
Come on.
I know he loved that Dave, boy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dave the truth. All right. Let's check this one out.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country.
All right, we'll stop that right there.
Well, she just basically gave you a definition of a crumb eater. How about that? Because the LIFT Act don't got a damn thing to do with color. It's based on income. And so with the assumption or with the attitude that it is Black people that predominantly are in poverty, so this will help a higher percentage of black people, then it will help other ethnic groups simply because we are the ones that at this specific level rate. Then it's kind of like, quote unquote, directing it as being something being done for black people. But in essence, what it really is about, it's about just getting loans pushed, because we was dealing with an economy to where America needed to get back into the pattern to where the banks can get more money out and address these circulations of the dollar. So as a way of trying to get more people in debts, you need to be able to open up the floodgates for more people to be able to secure loans. And in order to do that, you want to target and you create a bill that's going to target basically a fixed 20-30 year loan rate, and be able to allow more people to have access to that. But that's just simply because of the way the market has been collapsing, and you needed to find something that can offset that. So that's your crumb right there. But I still say you can't tell what that crumb tastes like, but that's your crumb.
Well, I would say the crumb tastes like shit because it's bullshit. That's just what the fuck it is. It's the same double talk they do all the time. And that's why when she said at the end, she said, am I going to do something that's only going to help black people? No, she hasn't. She broke it down in no uncertain terms. Let me explain this to you. I passed this lift shit that I'm going to tell you is going to help black people, which it's really not. Because even if we get the loan, most of the time we can't afford the monthly payment. So we right back in the same goddamn situation. But she said all of this, floating around politics and blah, 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 and then got to the end and said, look, am I going to do something to help black people? No. No, that's it. All the rest of that shit she said is irrelevant. She told you point blank, what you like to say, Ward, point blank, period. I'm not finna help black people. I pushed for the Asian hate crime law. I push for better rights for trans and LGBT and the rest of the alphabet group. I go to APAC and give speeches talking about how we stand with the Jewish community. But when it comes to helping us, when it comes to doing something for our people, oh, hell no. Hell no. I'm not going to do anything for you niggas. These other groups, they got actual power. That's our fault. That's our fault. The gays, they got all kinds of power. They can shut down a Chick-fil-A in a heartbeat. They don't give a shit. The Jews, obviously, we know about that. All these other groups, they'll go and they'll help. When it comes time to helping you and your black ass, I don't care if you're AKA or Omega or A-Phi or whatever the hell you claiming. They were bragging about how it's going to be somebody from one frat administering the oath and another person. How many of these Greek organizations are going to be a part of this ceremony should it take place? But it doesn't fucking matter because she's told you to your face, I'm not going to help black people. So when shit gets rough for those that are in the middle and think that they're doing something, hood rich motherfuckers that's got a little change, as it continues to move in the trajectory that it's on and they can't get no help and they can't figure it out, this is it. You put a demon into office based on the fact that she looks like you. Damn the shit she said prior to, oh yeah, I'm Jamaican, so of course I smoked weed. Being the border czar, I ain't helping. They asked her, have you been to the border? You the border czar, have you been down there to check out what's going on? She said, yeah, we've been down there. This reporter said, but have you been down there? She said, well, I haven't been to Europe either. I don't understand your point. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? The fuck? If somebody in the hood said that shit, we'd fuck you. If somebody on a college campus said it, oh, you dirty. Ain't nobody playing, but because it's her, and we've had Megan say it, and these other motherfuckers, and think about it. The fucking DNC, the conference hadn't even happened yet. And I don't know if y'all know, but the conference is where the actual vote to see who's gonna be the Democratic presidential candidate, that's where that takes place. She's already been running as the nominee for the Democratic Party. When they made Joe and leaned on him and pushed him out the way after that debate, and they slid her up in there, she just took his votes, took his money, and that he raised, and kept on running. They said, "This is your candidate." Didn't nobody vote for her? In 2019, when she ran before, she got 0 votes. 0. Didn't nobody think she was about shit. But all of a sudden, because they're telling you that she's the wave of the future, that she's the one that needs we buy into that shit. And so again, it's the same thing all over again. We're not hearing what they're telling. It's crazy how in your face it is now. It's crazy. They're not even trying to hide this shit anymore. That they're just coming out and telling you, we're not gonna do shit for y'all. Period. What else? What the fuck else do we have to hear?
But well, let me break that down though. It's remember the whole point of their strategy is they may not be doing nothing for us, but they're trying to pin it as though Trump is going to do things to directly hurt us. So it's either you accept what you used to and nothing getting done for you, or you come out and you support somebody who is directly going to hurt you. You see, and that's the game. So that's that lesser of two evils. And then remember, going back to what she just stated there earlier, the whole question was that they was asking her about reparations and trying to get her to address that we need reparations. And what she did what Jesse Jackson was always good at. And that's finding a way to make my own agenda match what the question is you asked me. The LIP Act has nothing to do with reparations at all. Nothing at all. Nothing in there states anything about reparations. But she used that to answer a question about reparations. You see, so she never even answered the question. She agreed with the premise of what reparations, why reparations should be needed, why Black people should get reparations. But her answer and her solution for reparations was something that had nothing to do with helping Black people. But the way she says it, it basically takes down your guard and make you not even think that what she's bringing up is not relative to reparations. You see, and so people would typically buy into those poly tricks simply because you hear the word reparations and you hear this response as my answer to reparations, and you think the two go together. That's that cognitive dissonance that I talked about earlier. They don't go together at all. They don't go together, but that's what people buy into. And then another ploy that was thrown out there earlier was the fact that somebody is bold enough to say, look it up. What I'm telling you, look it up. She has so quote unquote helped Black people, look it up. By saying that I'm by me telling you to look it up, now all of a sudden you assume that I'm telling the truth.
I've done that shit before.
Yeah, that's another trick. And it works great. It works great because most folks that even took the time to watch a 10-minute video on forward then already gave up as much time that they're going to give up to learn about the subject matter by listening to you talk about it. They don't want to have to do no research. That's why they listening to you. So by you coming in and validating that what I'm telling you is the truth, look it up, they just bought it. Line, hook, and sinker. They just bought it. So from that standpoint, it's a done deal. They right now, then and there, you are their fact checker. So that's nothing but a psychological, a politrick game in any way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing that Malcolm talked about with the wolf and the fox. Donald Trump is the wolf and Kamala is the fox. And we're choosing to be eaten by somebody that smiles at us. But either way, and that's one of the things I was asking on the IG is that whole idea of, I used to hear it all the time because my mom's white chick and into hippie and political stuff. I used to hear that concept a lot about voting for the lesser of two evils. And it's like so we actually think that we can do good by voting for evil. It might be the evil junior. It might be the mini evil, the baby evil, but it's evil. How the fuck do you do good by voting for evil? That makes no sense whatsoever. And it's crazy to me, like when what'd he say? If you ain't voting for her, that means you with Trump. Do you motherfuckers realize that besides Kamala and Trump, it's 4 other people at least running for president? RFK Jr. still running. Cornel West's name is still out there. Jill Stein is out. Some other dude, I forget the dude's name. But it's at least 4 other people that are still in the running for this shit. But to even conceive of something other than the names that are being thrown up in our faces, the ones that we've researched by watching Tavis Smiley and Steve Harvey, that's our research. Those are the 2 that they're talking about. So those are the 2 that I have to choose from. It's so goddamn stupid. And that's what makes me want to give up my black card. Because we just keep doing the same stupid shit over and over again. This is
your nigga
not
card. That's a
my
last show,
nigga.
remember?
Well, I gave that up years ago. I don't know if I ever had one. I was too light skinned. They wouldn't give me one in the hood. When they had in days where it was when I was a kid, they used to have where I lived around Fort Stoke in Fort Worth. They would have there were whites, Mexicans, and black folks, and they would have one day it would be white folks fighting the Mexicans. Then another day it might be the Mexicans fighting the black folks, and then the black people, they just kind of rotating shit. So I honestly never knew where I fit in. So I just
fight on both days. Yeah, you supposed to fight.
Yeah, I used to fight all the fucking time. Learn a bit of Spanish. I can fight in any of this shit. But I used to just carry a stick and walk by myself. So I don't know that I ever had a nigga card. You know what I mean? It's like what's his name? Tank versus somebody like Neo in the Matrix. I was never really plugged in. And maybe that's one of the reasons it's hard for me to identify with social settings. Sometimes, you know, I'm still at this point in my life socially awkward in a lot of situations because I don't understand. A lot of the social norms and shit I don't get. Like listening to somebody like Tavis Smiley or that Ricky Smiley or Steve Harvey tell me what I'm supposed to think. I don't understand how I get. I'm not saying I don't get what's going on. I'm saying as just a man to have somebody, especially like that, tell me what I'm supposed to think. Even Malcolm couldn't tell me what I'm supposed to think. If he said something that was thrown off as shit, I'm gonna think about that shit and wait, why is he so, what, huh? But we turn our mental faculties over to somebody else to do the thinking for us because it's easier and whatnot. And that just I've never been able to identify with that because no matter what's going on, I used to teach my children, especially my daughter, whatever you do, always keep thinking, think. Because I think y'all probably heard it when y'all were younger, you think too much. And to me, that was just a call to the square. Like, okay, I'm gonna think even more. You know, so just never being able to I refuse to give somebody else that agency in my life. You know, you can beat me up, throw me down, starve me out or whatever, but you're not gonna take my thought process. You're not gonna take my brain. That's guarded 100% day and night. So I can't relate to motherfuckers that will sit back and allow this clown or these clowns to do what they're doing to us.
This next video I'm gonna show is gonna be what's the word I'm looking for when you
I don't know. Something in Warridian?
No, it's not in Warridian. But
that's stupid.
This is a shout out to my brother George Jefferson. I got a good brother named George Jefferson, and he was going on. Yeah, that's his actual name. He was going off on a tangent today, and he basically everything you saying. He was essentially saying he actually kind of did the show because he said
we're not supposed to show people we agree with.
Well, no, I'm not going to show him, but I'm going to show something because of what he said. Because he talked about he said essentially that it's insulting to black people that every time a politician is seeking our vote, they run to our entertainers. He said no other group of people does do that. You go to their thinkers. You go to their people who have intellectual abilities. But when you try to appeal to us, you run to our entertainers. You know, and he said that's a deep insult to black people that we'll always appeal to through our entertainers.
So now that you said that, why are you gonna show the video?
I'm gonna show the video as a shout out to that brother. Now why? Now check this video out. Check this out, cause I'm looking for. We comment. So I got something for y'all. Let's see. I got a couple. I'm gonna show you back to back. We're showing back to back for y'all. Okay. Y'all got that?
Yeah. What's up, honey? This your girl, Meg Thee Stallion, aka the Hot Girl Coach, reporting live with the future president of the United States. Everybody. What do you have to say to the American people?
We are not going back.
Do you support reparations for black
I didn't mean that. I meant this.
Somebody fart.
In the mall with him, Mama have a ball with him. Somebody call Rihanna, I'm about to draw with him. He with the stage cause he in the wild women. Put the legs on his head, now he loves tall with him. You will never catch me calling these men daddy. I ain't lying, grandma, just to make them happy. Lifestyle with him, tank fitter. It never happened if the wasn't happened. I'm a hot girl.
All right.
That's Megan. That's Megan Thee Stallion. Shaking it for your people.
That's Megan Thee Stallion. What y'all think about that?
What's her most vulgar song? Just tell me the title of it real quick.
I can't even tell you. I don't know none of her songs.
I can't think of it.
Oh, damn.
I'm still trying to understand why she's a stallion.
Maybe WAP. with her and Cardi B got one called WAP. They're probably one of the most popular
Okay,
ones.
I'll do that. Okay.
WAP.
Yeah, it is fucking itself, and I cannot relate to such a schism between, you know, a coochie popping broad and somebody you want to rule you. I don't understand how those two things go together. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? If Dave Chappelle ever run for office, I might actually vote for him. If he was running for president, I would actually vote for Dave, because I may not agree with everything he's saying, because some of his politics, you know, but at the very least, he's thoughtful about it. At the very least, he's thinking of how these things interact, how they work. He's thinking. These motherfuckers don't think. You have somebody up there talking about a wet ass pussy to represent this chick who's supposed to be taken seriously on the world stage. This chick, at one point, they were asking about it was back when the whole thing in Ukraine was first really getting ramped up. Kamala was over there, I think it was the head of Poland, and somebody asked her about the deaths and the death toll and how many people have died in the Ukraine war, the war up to that point, and she started laughing and said, well, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Like, who the fuck is gonna take this broad seriously? You would not put your image, your finances, your everything into somebody who with the image of Flavor Flav to jump up on and to represent you in a court of law, talking about is my client guilty? Yeah, boy. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. But you have this clown called Kamala that can't stop cackling and all of this, and then lines herself up with this chick talking about, you know, things she talks about and pumping her shit around and whatnot. And we talk about having positive role models. Those two are a contradiction. They don't mesh together for me. They don't work right. You know, and I get it, the game, they work perfectly because that's what they're doing. But it's just such utter nonsense. And there's no level of accountability. And in fact, that's what all of that goes back to, even with the Steve Harvey video, is he's basically saying, quit holding her accountable and just vote for her. That's what he said. There's no accountability because, you know, we just need to get her in the office and then, you know, we out, we go do our thing until next time and we'll get somebody else. There's no holding to accountability. They fuck up and do shit like all these motherfuckers in Washington do something illegal, fuck people over and get a promotion. That's it. That's what they all do. That's what she's gonna do. And once again, she's riding the backs, just like we get irritated sometimes behind black so-called artists coming up in the hood and real hip hop and all of those types of things and then crossing over. That's the game. That's the game in politics. You make some promises to black folks, get you a nice base together, and then you start spreading out and selling your case to others because you got this on lock and you can achieve that certain status and get promoted to the next level. And that's all she's doing. That's all Trump is doing. It's the same fucking game. But it's not just even, it's insulting as fuck. And I think it's insulting as fuck, in part at least, because it is so embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have that shit because the rest of the world sees it. Other heads of state are looking at this and they're like, what? They were looking at Joe Biden when he was like, you know, looking at him, why this dude is crazy. Why do y'all have him? Now they're looking at this chick that nobody can understand what she talks when she goes into talking about, you know, time is the day of tomorrow and time is about time, that we got to do it today, right now, over with the time. That's some shit that she says and nobody's like, what are you talking about? But we're okay with, especially with her blackface representing the world, because at least Obama, at least he had game, at least he had conversation, at least he, you know, knew how to present himself on a world stage or a stage with other people. She don't have a fucking clue. She done fucked the white boy, you know, fuck the black dude, fuck the white boy, married him, bought some kids, and now she's where she's at. She's got an old crazy perverted ass white boy for a running mate, and we don't give a shit.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right, I got another one for y'all. Let's see what y'all think about your boy right here.
Hey, this fun.
Let's see what y'all think about your boy. Your boy say, check him out. It's your boy right here, E.
Of the United States. Don't you find it interesting that when political candidates want the black vote, they don't come and talk to you. They don't come and negotiate with you. They don't come and reason you. When a politician wants the black vote, they don't come and talk to you. They don't come and listen to you. They don't come in. Kamala Harris hasn't scheduled any listening sessions with the black community. Donald Trump hasn't scheduled any listening sessions with the black community. When they want the black vote, they send Meg Thee Stallion in to shake her ass. And I love my sister. When you want the black vote, you don't talk to them. Entertain them. They don't think. Black people want to be entertained. If you want the black vote, go send Meg Thee Stallion in. Come on.
You know who else they send in? You know who else they send in besides Meg? They send in Sukiana.
Break that shot down. Break that shot down.
Well, I mean, okay, so yeah. One of the things that the pundits and news agencies are getting on Kamala about is because she hasn't given any type of conference, any news conference at all since being appointed, because she wasn't elected, appointed the Democratic nominee. She hasn't given any news conferences, none of that shit. She's just been going around giving rallies where they pump her up and more Meg Thee Stallion type shit and all of that. But no, with Dr. Umar, that's what you want me to, the Sukiana thing?
Yeah.
Because if Meg Thee Stallion is one they put out in front to deal with the more mainstream, the high visible person of the community, because she black. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. She black. That's what it is. Her daddy from Jamaica, and even if her mama's Indian, she still they black. They just don't fucking know it. But or African, whichever word you want to slide in there. I don't want to get into all of that. But for the more sinister aspect, for those that are not in a position like Kamala, but who still have some sway in the hood, especially those that are talking stuff like Malcolm would talk, they would have to be more insidious. And I'm not saying they're doing anything. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not. I don't know. I don't know that she's a plant and that she's not. I don't know. But it sure seems funny that that's the situation. I pray the brother steers clear of that shit, because that's just way too easy a target, a mark for him to be falling for, to be caught up in something that's basically going to destroy his image, period. I don't care how he tries to spin it. It's gonna fuck with his image altogether. And the reality of it is, wherever that woman is, that man's heart is gonna be. So just like there were accusations of like Elaine Brown and her influence on the West Coast and Hugh and them and all of that was going on, it's gonna be the same type of shit. It's gonna be the same type of this chick who's about this certain thing has now polluted, diverted, influenced Dr. Umar's thinking and the whole thing that he's got going on. Because y'all know a woman is the distraction, and wherever she distracts him to, he's gonna put more of his energy toward, and that's gonna fuck and has the potential to fuck up the situation. So like I say, I pray and hope that he's not getting himself involved with that nonsense, because she's not finna let go of the music, because the music got her money, and that's just where it's gonna be.
And the OnlyFans too.
OnlyFans, I can't fathom that. Me personally, I've seen some pictures, and they're not risque or anything, but in one or two of the positions that I've seen him next to her, I wouldn't stand next to a sister that was just an affiliate, an associate, like, hey, how you doing, sister? Good to meet you, da-da-da. I wouldn't stand behind her and have my hand around her waist, kind of looking over her shoulder and shit. That's a bit too intimate of a pose. And that's why I say, I hope that there's nothing to that. Maybe it was just a pose. But the fact that she is involved with the shit that she's involved in, not saying that she's horrible, love the sister. She's a sister, she gets that. But at the same time, OnlyFans, nah, baby, you the movement's over here and you just so far out of the game with that OnlyFans and all that shit that you're doing. She's not gonna get that shit up, not for him, not for that hard work or sacrifice that it would take to do what it is he says he's working on doing and wanting to do. That's a whole lot of sacrifice and giving up of that world. She's not gonna get that shit up. Period. She's not. It's just not gonna happen.
Now, what was you talking about? You said she's black. I don't care what y'all say. You talk about Kamala and the
Yeah, because they keep trying
race.
to say she, which she wasn't. And Donald asked when he went to the N.B.P.P shit.
Hold on. Let me play it.
A lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for. A lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people.
All right. I just want to show that point, and then I'm going to find that other up by Kamala. So that's the famous Trump, that's the famous Trump quote about them taking black jobs. What do y'all think about that?
He ain't wrong. Roy, we can't hear you.
There we go. There's so many different ways that we can interpret that, because he said it's any job. So if I wanted to be real pro-black about it, I'm gonna say that, hell, we built this country, so every goddamn job here is a black job. So all y'all taking black jobs, all y'all white folks, all y'all.
He said that shit because he realized he fucked up. Oh shit, fucked up. Let me try to figure it out. Any job. Any job. I just meant any job. I didn't really mean black job. I meant any job. Any job, you can be anything you want to be in the world. We know what the fuck he meant. He meant you ain't got, your schools are shit. You know, what have you got to lose? Your schools are trash. You don't have any jobs. That's what the fuck he's talking about. He knows. Again, remember Trump, one of the things that I like about him, this motherfucker will let the cat out the bag. He will say the quiet part out loud. And he said the quiet part out loud. He said, essentially, these motherfuckers that are coming across the borders ain't journalists, ain't doctors, they're not attorneys, they not, executives, CEOs and shit. They broke motherfuckers coming over here taking other broke motherfuckers' jobs, i.e. black folk. And that's the truth. And that's what we've been saying here for quite some time as these motherfuckers come in. In fact, they when they released the jobs reports earlier this year, they were talking about, they don't talk about it so much now because, Kamala's there. But they were talking about how most of these new jobs that are being created are going to illegal immigrants. So yes, they're coming over and they're taking the low-level jobs that are typically reserved for the low-level motherfuckers in this country. And who is the lowest on that level? Us. But we can't see that that's true and get pissed off about the fact, oh shit, they got us doing low-level work on fucking purpose, and now they're replacing us. We are becoming obsolete. It's either going to be a robot or a fucking Venezuelan. It's one of the two. Somebody's going to take the little crumbs that we are used to getting. And he let the cat out the bag. And I don't see a problem with that. Again, cult of personality. We get so wired up on, ooh, Trump said something about black people. Matter of fact, in that clip, I didn't see that part of the clip where he says, I see a lot of journalists in here, a lot of them are black people. Did you hear the crowd's reaction?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Because everybody is black.
Like he said, but that's not the point though. Like, he didn't say nothing wrong. He said, I see a lot of people in here, a lot of y'all are black. Okay. What's wrong? I don't understand what's wrong with that. But because it comes from Trump and we're so much about the personality, same as entertainment, Steve Harvey and shit, we're so much about the personality that we don't realize that's the truth. A lot of people in here, a lot of y'all are black. State of the fucking fact. It's hot out here. It's the sun. It's a fucking fact. But we're so caught up because he said it. If Steve Harvey came in or Kevin Hart got up on the stage and said, man, it's a lot of black folk in here, love him to death. Love him. He dead. It's a bunch of niggas up in here, love him to death. All you bitches, oh, love him to death. But because it comes from a personality that we've been taught not to like, or to a large majority of most of us, I guess, the whole, and yes, she was a DEI appointment because before she was even selected, before Biden and them chose her, Biden said, I want a female running mate. That's what he said. So they set out to find a female, and that's what they got. So she was absolutely a DEI appointment. So make no mistake about that. That's what it was and what it is. But again, he didn't say shit wrong. Even not with the black jobs, not with the black folk in this room. He stated a fucking fact. But we are so emotionally tied to these personalities that we think, oh, he offended us. I need somebody to tell me how the fuck, there's a lot of black folk in here, is offensive. How the fuck is that offensive coming from anybody? Hitler stands up and said, it's a lot of black folk in here. Yeah, you're right. Next, I don't get it. I can't relate to that shit. Carry on.
I think you're right. Let me give this is what I wanted to give y'all a while ago though. I think you're absolutely right. Cause they did get upset about absolutely nothing. Cause it is a lot of black journalists in there. Hell, it's the National Association of Black Journalists Convention.
Thank you. You dumb motherfuckers. Yeah. What the fuck are you upset for? He came in and said, y'all are doing a good job of recruiting black journalists because I see a bunch of them in this room.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with that?
That's crazy. All right,
including Republicans on Capitol Hill have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the
then.
words.
Would you give me a definition of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So, I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe
that I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans have said?
I really don't know. I really don't know. Could be.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly it. I mean, yeah, first of all, he did what we do on this show. Let's get a definition. And this broad could only say the words, whatever DEI stands for. She gets, I've defined it. No, you said the words that the letters stand for, but you ain't defined it. And as a journalist, your dumb ass should be able to do that, because that's what you do, is supposedly, as a journalist, is to dig in and investigate and be able, essentially, to define shit. She couldn't define it. And he's absolutely right. And that's one of the issues that I see people having with her, that for years, she was the first Indian elected to the Senate or some shit. So she was playing up this whole Indian aspect as long as it rolled with it, as long as it carried her where she needed to be. And now she's running for president, and they need to make sure that they get the black vote, because they see so much of it moving away toward Trump. Now all of a sudden she's black. She went to a HBCU. So fucking what? The fuck does that have to do with anything? HBCUs ain't the bastion of black culture. They're not instilling a sense of African sensibilities or a sense of pride in our culture in these schools. They are funded by white folks, because we sure as hell ain't funding them. So they're getting a bunch of money from the oppressor, but she went to one of them, and because we say, oh, that's a bunch of black folk that go there, oh, that's a black school, so she must be black. She one of us. No. You don't, just because you had the money or got a scholarship or whatever to go to this particular school, don't have shit to do with nothing. Especially when the school itself don't have shit to do with nothing, not about us. So again, he said something that's absolutely correct. She rode being an Indian, and he's telling you, I never knew her to be black because she played up the Indian card so much for so long. I thought she was fucking Indian. Now all of a sudden, she's become this black. I love the way he said that. I don't know why he said it like that. He's trying to be funny with this black woman. You know, just the way he said it was trippy. But yeah, that's exactly what she's done. Period. You can't, if you read a fucking magazine or newspaper article from last year, you'd fucking know this shit. But we don't. And so we think, yeah, she's just always been black. That's just not the case. That's factually, you can prove that shit. You can prove that shit, period. Look up first Indian senator. I don't remember if it was a senator. I think she was a senator or a House representative. First Indian senator or House rep elected in the U.S. I bet you her picture comes up because that's what she rode with. So he said something that's absolutely demonstrably true, but because we're caught up in the personality, the entertainment of shit, we get upset.
Now we got these. There's two issues. I'm gonna show a video that points at. One is unless did you want to come back on that War?
Nah.
Okay. Two issues. One, the shooting of Sonia Massey, and people talking about Trump wanting to give immunity to the police. So let's look at his response to that. Let's see what he says on that and see what the people think about this.
Black and that's very clear now. Good.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay. So Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah. Well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again, why would
they're going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
you
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous. And you know, they have, the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because
Now, I already know where we're going to go on this based on the fact of what we are. I definitely don't believe in no immunity for the police. They'll be hell if they had complete immunity.
And see, I would say for the exact same reason, hell yeah, give them immunity. I mean, dealing with police brutality and crime and all of that is still dealing with the symptoms. That's not the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. But we get so caught up again in so much of the emotionalism, we can't see that. But if we really began to experience, because we don't have IDF and Palestine type shit in this country yet. But if it really got to where, I've seen videos of the IDF, some Palestinian was in the back of an ambulance, and the IDF ran up inside the ambulance and was chunking the paramedics to the side, trying to beat the shit and kill the Palestinian that was on the stretcher, wounded or something. I don't know if he was probably shot, but he was wounded in a stretcher, and then they're trying to save his life. They get in there and just start beating the shit out of him. I've seen IDF motherfuckers in their the armored vehicles, ramming ambulances and pushing them off the road, trying to get to Palestinian wounded and whatnot. We're not ready for that. We don't have that in this country yet. So for me, in order to stir the pot, in order to get people's fucking attention, because we could become so complacent, we have a routine. Where somebody like Sonya Massey happens, we get lit a little bit. Maybe somebody starts to GoFundMe. You know, we march a little and we shout and we say some blah, 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 and then we go back to work. That's our routine. We did the same thing with Mike Brown. We did the same thing with Floyd and everybody else. We get hyped for a minute and go on about our business. At some point, the game has to change. And perhaps, just perhaps, if it's on the books and it's out there on the table, motherfuckers will start taking shit a little bit more long-term, a little bit more serious, something to change the dynamic. Because as it is right now, for the most part, the police have immunity. The police have immunity. They have their, the police unions, and they have the entire state getting their back. You know, I used to say that all cops might not be dirty, but all cops know other dirty cops. So they're all protecting one another and keeping each other out of harm's way when they do shit. So the gloves, in my mind, need to come off. Let's show the shit like it is. Get a president who says, fuck Black lives, police can do what they want to fucking do. Then maybe motherfuckers will wake up and start to take things in some other light and just fucking do something different rather than doing the same playbook. That playbook is tired. So one way or the other, the killings are going to continue, whether they have immunity or not. Sonya Massey don't give a fuck about immunity. You know, Floyd don't give a damn about immunity. Don't get none of that because they dead. The result's the same. We're looking at the aftermath. Let's hold the cop accountable after he done killed somebody. No, how about we change the situation that creates the economic situations, the economic conditions that our people do shit like this? How about we start educating our own, rebuilding our families to combat the shit? Because going to them, again, whether they hold police accountable or not, is still appealing to the oppressor. It's not holding us accountable. And that's what has to happen. So this police immunity is really irrelevant. It's not going to change a damn thing. We're still going to do what we do and play the game that they want us to play, unless we do something different.
Well, I still see a little bit of what I would refer to as a tactical approach or advantage that they are dodging the hell out of as it applies to that. Because mind you, and it's something we may have to talk about in our next session period, but when we get into stuff like Project 2025, I mean, that is a comprehensive plan that was put forward by the Heritage Foundation in regards to the next Republican presidential administration. This is a 900-page report, and in that report, they are going over policy, staffing, restructuring the executive branch, and how to implement more power for Donald Trump. And keep in mind, when we talk about just the whole situation with the police aspect and accountability, the George Floyd Policing Act never got passed. And so if there was not something legislative-wise that can help, that will help us out, then why not pass it? If it didn't have any power to it, why not pass it? Go ahead and pass it then. They passed everything else for everybody else, other ethnic groups and other gender groups, but damn it, they made sure they wouldn't pass the George Floyd Policing Act. They stayed a fuck away from that one. Democrats and Republicans, it ain't go through.
But so it's not. I'll take issue with that and say that it's not because it had teeth and would actually do something for us. It's because it was a political time bomb. If you take that and pick that up and take one step with that shit, you will automatically align yourself with certain groups and certain aspects in the conversation that politically is a problem. If you say, okay, yeah, George Floyd did it, all of a sudden you're Black Lives Matter, you're Antifa, you're a leftist, you're a socialist, you're all of these things just because you supported it. So you can't support it not because it's got teeth, but just because it has the name, just like the Lyft shit, just because the Inflation Reduction Act and whatnot didn't have shit to do with reducing inflation, but because it said Inflation Reduction Act, there was a certain political something attached to it, a particular look. Again, it's about the personality. So it's a particular look that you want to stay away from, George Floyd type shit. So it's not that it would do something, It's just that it would look a certain way, and you would lose part of your constituency. You can't be down with the Klan and the George Floyd shit. You're gonna lose one or the other. Somebody gonna jump ship off of that shit. So that was just, politics as usual. They do that shit all the time.
Check this out.
Against a man named Biden, you probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, let's keep going, and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing well. You say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him. And now we have to steer it to her. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies. I just
thought that was a little entertaining. Your guy, he talked about, and I think he's telling the truth. He said like being in a prize fight, you beating the fighter, and they like, oh, he's not doing that good. Let's pull him out and put this other fighter in. You can't do it.
That's exactly what it was. It was a political coup. They moved Biden. They say Obama threatened him with the 25th Amendment and shit, and told him, you got to get out the way. You fucking up not just the chances of the presidency, but all the Democrats down ticket, the senators and mayors and governors and all of that shit to the Democrats. You damaging the Democratic look, the look of the Democratic Party, or the Democrats, and so you got to get out the way. So all Pelosi and all of them, they used as an excuse that, because if you notice, up until that debate, every Democrat, every political pundit and what do you call them, TV show, mainstream news media and whatnot, was talking about how bright and intelligent and cogent and just going crazy, talking about how great Joe Biden was. Rah, 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 rah. The fucking day after that debate, the very next day, all of a sudden, everybody's, oh, his cognitive decline, and he's not with it, he's not well, and that, just everybody lockstep, not one or two at a time, and it trickled to everybody like the day after they completely changed their tone. And so they moved him out of the way again with intention of replacing him with this chick who was never voted for. Nobody, I don't understand how motherfuckers can keep saying democracy. And the U.S. has to maintain a image to the rest of the world to be able to say that the elections in Venezuela, that Maduro is an illegitimate president. For the U.S. to be able to say that, the U.S. has to maintain its image as a democracy, as having free and fair elections and whatnot. They have to maintain that. So when there's something that comes along that damages that, that's a problem. So all of this that's going on, sliding him out and sliding her in, and them ignoring so many of the questions that folks have posed, and that's one of the reasons she hasn't done any news, any interviews and whatnot, is because people are going to bring that shit up. And nobody wants to talk about it because the image that politics plays on a global scale would be at stake and would be damaged by that. Because you don't have, it's not a democracy when somebody comes along and says, okay, this guy's out, this is your new candidate. That's not how this shit's supposed to work. But that's exactly what they did. And I cannot relate to motherfuckers that cannot see that shit. You were told who your candidate was. You didn't vote for her. You ain't vote for her the first time she ran. You didn't vote for her this time, but all of a sudden you're being told this is who you got. I don't get that. Do it, but quit calling it what it's not.
So E, I'm gonna ask you the question that some of the audience members they gonna ask. Are you with Trump? Cause they think if you're not with her, you gotta be with Trump. I gotta say it, E, I gotta ask. I always gotta play the devil's advocate here.
Oh, if I vote, I'm writing in Malcolm X.
So you ain't with Trump either?
No, I mean, again, and this is kind of back to I was gonna say what Ward said a minute ago. He said the 2025, and how can they get, and I know this was a misspeak, how they can get more power in Donald Trump's hand. But that's not what it is. It's how can they maintain and garner more power in their own hand? Because remember, the president is just a tool. He's just a puppet. to whatever degree, Donald Trump is no different. He's a businessman and makes money, and that's his ultimate concern. But they're trying to come up with ways to maintain their hold on power in this country, and to play the game of politics, to go and vote. We don't get that every time we vote, we are adding our legitimacy. We're co-signing to the shit. If me and you were playing a game of ball, and every time I go up to shoot the ball, you foul me, a hard foul. At some point, you keep doing this 1 time, 2 times, 3. At some point, I'm going to say, this is no longer a legitimate game. You're just trying to hurt me. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not playing with you anymore. But rather than do that, we are convinced that people died for us to vote, so we have to vote. We're told to be an American, to change the world, you got to vote. So we go and vote. I'm not going to vote, because when all of these folks go in and they're watching this football game, some of them are for, I don't know, the Cowboys. Some of them are for the Giants, and they're both playing. And then one team ends up losing, the other team ends up winning, and they come out. One side's happy, one side's pissed. I come walking along the sidewalk, somebody coming out of the game say, hey man, you didn't come in there and cheer on the team. It's your fault we lost. No, it's not my fault. I wasn't even in on the game. Y'all played that game. So if y'all lost, it's because you can't blame me, somebody who's not even playing in the game, for y'all losing. That's their game. But we keep playing in it. If we stop playing in it, if we stop going and buying tickets and lining up and going in there and shouting and cheering and hoorahing for one side or the other and stand back, we start to see what it actually is. And we view their game, because that's what it is their game, for what it actually is. But we keep on buying into the illusion again and putting the power that we're supposed to have as human beings into the hands of other folks. So yeah, the 2025, that's just an extension of shit they done in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, just being revamped and updated, because the Democratic Party is doing the same shit. All of these folks coming over the border, that ain't no coincidence. All of these illegal immigrants, that ain't no coincidence. What's your name? What's the guy's name? Tim Walz, her running mate. One of the things he did back in his town, where he was here, he passed a law making it so that illegal immigrants could get driver's licenses. You know what you need a driver's license for? To go and vote. So you get all of these folks here and you offer them the ability to vote. Who you think they're gonna vote for? They're gonna vote for the motherfuckers that made it easy for them to come over, get a job, get a license, rah. So they're stacking the table the exact same way. So it's not an attempt to get anything for any particular person. It's an attempt to consolidate, continue to consolidate and steer and guide the power that they've already got. I mean, that's a white folk fight. That's not our business, in the sense of, should we try to stop it? Should we try to derail it? Should we march and protest and write our congressmen and shit? That's not our fight. That's what they're going to do. That's big boys fighting. We need to pull back and stop participating in the game and get our power together so that we can do something. So no, I'm not supporting Trump. I don't support the game. I don't care if the Cowboys win or the Giants win. I don't give a fuck about the game. They're going to play regardless. What I'm going to do is go get my team together down the street. And when it's time for us to get on the field, because we're not even on the field. Let's face it. That, like I said, that's their game. We're not on the field. We don't even know how to play the game. We've never studied football. We've never run a play. We don't know what, I formations and none of the rest, a 2-point conversion. We don't know none of that shit. We don't know the game. So for us to think that we're in the game, that we're affecting the game, is nonsense. So you vote for who you want to. You voted for Obama. We still broke. The government surveillance is still expanded. Obama dropped more bombs on brown people in 1 year of being president than George Bush did his whole time in office. So what the fuck have we gained from any of this shit? We don't gain from either fucking side. And that's the shit Malcolm was trying to tell us. But all these years later, we still ain't figured that shit out. We won't fucking listen. They don't give a shit about us. They're playing with us. They're not playing with us. They're playing with us. They're toying us. We are pawns in their shit. And we think that makes us a part of the game. It makes us a part of the game, but it makes us the least powerful part of the game. We're not bishops. We're not rooks. For people who know anything about chess, We're not rooks, we're bishops, much less the king and queen. We walk around talking about king and queen. Matter of fact, I might start doing that. Instead of going up to black men and women and saying, what's up, king? Or queen, peace, queen, and all that. I say, what's up, pawn? All right, pawn. And call motherfuckers what the fuck they are. You know, you're a pawn in this shit. And you're being played, whether it's money or whether it's politics or any aspect you want to talk about. You are being played. I don't care how pretty your house is or your car is, you're still a nigga. Obama is a nigga. He's a nigga that got in good in the house and got some nice benefits out of it. But Kamala's still a nigga. And that's just the way it's gonna be. This is their shit. This is the difference between a reformist party and a revolutionary party. That's one of the things that I had issue with Huey and them when motherfuckers, or not, whoever, I know Bobby, when they started running for office, I was like, I'm off that, I'm done. From that point on, at least that point on, y'all are reformists. Y'all are trying to be a part of the system. That's why they motherfuckers felt comfortable turning around and suing, or trying to sue, talk about suing the new Black Panther Party over the use of the name Black Panther Party. Because they identified themselves as part of the system, just like the average brother or sister in the street identifies themselves as a part of this political shit. I'm gonna vote for Kamala. Don't give a fuck who you vote for. Power don't give a damn who you vote for. We don't understand the game. We're trying to reform the shit when we need to be changing us. That's revolutionary, not changing the system, because you can't change the system. What is that saying? Well, when you dance with the devil don't change, you do. So when you dance with this system, the system ain't gonna change. If you think you got balls big enough to think that you or a few million black folk are gonna change this system, you really need to wake up and read some books. That's just not gonna fucking happen. This is an expression of who the fuck they are, and you're not gonna change who the fuck they are. You need to change who the fuck you are, or who you think you are. That's revolution.
Well, I've got to stop E's tirade.
My bad.
Because it's time for us to get ready to stop. I'm gonna let you come in, War. I ain't gonna just stop like that. But I do want to say this, and I'm gonna challenge the listening audience. Anybody that has stayed with us this long, anybody that has learned anything, anybody that has enjoyed the show, anybody that got pissed off, that War and E them pissed off, because I didn't say a lot. They were War and E. If y'all mad, be mad at them. Anybody they pissed off, I challenge you to do this. Get in the comment section and give me, depending on who you like. If you like Kamala, teach us. We want you to educate us. Tell us 5 things that Kamala is going to do that benefits you, that makes you want Kamala in office. And if you like Trump, I challenge you to do the same thing. Give us 5 things, 5 reasons why you want Trump in office. Because, you know, this is shocking to us. Because if you watching our channel, we automatically figure that we've got probably the most diehard, militant, revolutionary-minded people watching this channel. This ain't for everybody. So if you heard this long, then you have to have some kind of revolutionary education in some way. And if anything we've said that pisses you off, don't just get angry. Educate us. Put us in our place with the right information. Get in the comment section and tell me why Trump. Or get in the comment section and tell me why Kamala. Tell me why I should make that move. Tell us, teach us and educate us in a way that will make us vote in that way come time to go to the polls. And War, you got anything you want to say before we close out?
No, he hit it. He hit it.
Yeah,
Knocked it out the park.
I did have one vote. Y'all got about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I did want to show this from your boy King Kong Consciousness. I think he deserved this one.
Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey, listen. If Uncle Steve Harvey and Uncle Ricky Smiley want to go hard for Kamala Harris, that is their business. If Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey want to go hard for Kamala Harris, they have a right to do that. They have a right to do that. What they don't have a right to do is shame other Africans into voting for her. They cannot do that. They were wrong for that. You can't shame people into not voting for someone who has no record of doing nothing for them. Now that's where they're wrong. That's where they're wrong. You know, Steve Harvey's logic didn't make any sense. He said, if we don't vote, we won't get nothing. Well, you've been voting and you ain't got nothing. It's time to hold the vote until we get something. It's time to hold the vote until we get something. Ricky Smiley, I love my brother, but he was pretty emotional. He's talking about Supreme Court Justice Ketanji swearing in Vice President Harris. They both belong to Black Greek fraternities. They'll get sworn in on Dr. King's Earth Day. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. You have to give us tangibles, not symbols, Brother Ricky Smiley. Tangibles, not symbols. One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with miseducation? One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with mass incarceration? One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with gentrification and homelessness? That is nothing but empty symbolism. The member of one black sorority swearing in the member of another black sorority on the solar return of a brother ancestor, Dr. King, who belonged to a black male fraternity. That's all fine and well. But telling black people they should vote for the symbol, telling black people they should vote for the symbol is not going to serve us, Brother Ricky. We need substance, my brother. We need substance. Medgar Evers did not die for Kamala Harris to become president. Stop the cap up. Dr. King did not die for Kamala Harris to become president. Stop the cap up. The purpose behind Fannie Lou Hamer's Voting Rights Act, the purpose behind the Fannie Lou Hamer Voting Rights Act was for black people to be in a position to use their vote so they could receive tangibles. Voting is not supposed to be a symbol. Voting is supposed to be a transaction, a power transaction. You want my vote? We want your resources. You want my vote? We want the resources. Voting is not supposed to be a ritual. It is not supposed to be a symbol. It is supposed to be a transaction.
I just wanted to show that part right there, because I think that's important for people to understand when he said voting is supposed to be a transaction. And it kind of goes to what you saying, E, about essentially withholding the vote until they actually stop talking and actually start giving something tangible. He's actually kind of going into that concept, and that's what I thought was important for people to see and actually think over as we get ready to close this show. But any of y'all have anything to say on it?
No, I was just gonna say that's I said all that boule shit with the Greek fraternities and all of that. We don't understand that shit either. That's a class of black folks that's their whole purpose is to get in the house, is to network, to become further embedded in the system, regardless of what it does. Matter of fact, who is that? Who that was? But there was a brother that said that our next slave masters will be the black elite class. In other words, those that we see as the oppressor, there will be a time when we no longer look at white faces, that it's going to be us looking at us, that these that have gotten up like Steve Harvey, these are the elites. And of course, they're going to be down for Kamala and shit, because that's how they maintain their purpose. That's how they maintain their value in this world, is if the overseer, the master, anoints them, pats them on the back. So yes, they're playing their part in keeping us corralled and keeping us in a particular position. And it's not coincidence that there are some that AKA there's so many so-called Greek, and they're not even fucking Greek, organizations around her, around Dr. King, and those that he was around. It's part of a club. It's a fucking club that works to, again, like I said, to embed and to further maintain their relationship to those in power, and it comes at the sacrifice of the rest of us. Cats in the street ain't never gonna benefit from shit that Kamala or Steve Harvey and none of them do, because they're benefiting by keeping it from benefiting us. And that's why it's not a matter of, I don't even say, I get it, I'm with it, withhold the vote until da-da-da, okay. But to even have that in our minds at this point, no, because now we're just trying to organize to get to that, and we're going to be constantly looking at that to try to get over to, when the reality of it is we need to be looking at this to empower ourselves. We can never, if we're really going to be about self-determination, we can never make one of our goals to be to get into or to be in good standing with the oppressor. For us to be self-determined means that we are going to be at odds with the system, with the oppressor, with those who hold on to and buy into it. Automatically, it's one or the other. This is one of those areas where there is no gray. What is his name? H. Rat Brown said there is no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. If you're free, you're not trying to get in with somebody's system of exploitation. System of exploitation only has two types of membership, the free and the slave. You're not going to be the free in that system because by design, you can't be, because then I'll move them out of the position of power. So the only place that's left for you is to be a slave. And that's why I say we were integrated when we first got here. And our position that we were integrated into has never changed. We're supposed to be on the bottom rung. We're supposed to be the slaves. The only thing that changed with so-called integration is that it was completed. We went from integrated into the economic system where we were chattel slavery, whether it was out in the field or it was cleaning the floors at the hospital and the jails and all of that shit. Same situation. We were integrated. Then they integrated, decided we wanted to live, what Malcolm talked about, sitting next to white folks on the toilet. We wanted social integration. We wanted to be next to master. We wanted to live up next to you and marry white women and learn how to rape children. We wanted to do all of those things that white folks were teaching the world how to do. So that idea of integrating into that's the integration. When people talk about integration, that's the integration that they were talking about. It wasn't economics and shit. We were already integrated. We were already where we're supposed to be. But we wanted to be socially integrated so we could live next to them, because somehow it got equated, freedom got equated with living in proximity to white folks. That's it. So we've been integrated and we remain at that place of integration to this day. So the whole purpose is to keep us in check, keep us in line, and keep us making the millions and billions and contributing to their upliftment and their pushing along. And folks that want to do that see that as the wave of the future, and they want to be a part of that rather than rally around and do for self, to do for us. Reform versus revolution.
And with that, we're gonna get ready to shut down. Now, I think where the brother will go, and I'm gonna say this because I haven't did a lot of talking, and then I'm going to get off. I think where the brother was going with that was kind of like, we talk about how the Jewish community has power, how the alphabet community has power, how any other group has power. And even we saw it when we showed how Kamala said, I'm not going to sit up here and say, I'm just going to do something specifically for black people, but you see that she was willing and have done stuff for other groups of people. And that's because those groups of people have power. And like we were talking about earlier, it's because they have power, because they know how to utilize not only their vote, they know how to utilize their economic vote. Like I said in the last show, when you spend $1, you're voting, because you're voting for that company, for that business, for that group to stay in the power. When you donate to political campaigns, you have power. That was something that Donald Trump was talking about when he was talking about the taxes that you brought up, when he was talking about the taxes. He said that they asked him, did he use those tax breaks not to pay? He said, of course I did. That makes me smart. Those tax laws are very complicated, and her supporters do too. They use the tax law. And like he said, if I shouldn't do it, and if you don't like it, change the law. He said, but she's not, because the very people that donate to her benefit from that law. They benefit from that. That's why they have the finances to vote to her, to give to her, and that's part of the process of having that power. One of the things that black people, as you said when we first started, there is no black people, so there's no real black vote. There are black individuals, and black people vote as individuals, and our vote goes in whatever way that we've been appealed to through our emotion, through our entertainment, and what I think the brother was talking about, that you don't vote, and it is not to be a part of that society, but it's that transaction that he's talking about, the alphabet community. They want certain laws passed. Okay, you can get my vote if you pass these laws, and those laws was passed. And those laws were passed that require you to suspend your intelligence, that cognitive dissonance that what we're talking about earlier, that if a man, a person that was born biologically male walks up to you and say, I identify as a she and a her, and I'm really a female, you got to let this person go to the Olympics and beat up women in the females Olympics. You have to do this. This is the law. I can't remember what that was. Oh, no, Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is going through it right now, because if a man walks into a Planet Fitness and decide identify as a female, then he can go into the female dressing room, and they have been getting flack from that. Hell, and I don't see how, if this is the law, men ought to be able to, males, biological males, going to prison ought to be able to say, I identify as a female, and be able to be sent to a female unit.
They do.
I thought that happened already.
They do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been doing that for exactly that. They have sex offenders and whatnot. They will say, identify as a woman. They ship them over there, and then women start getting raped, getting pregnant, all kinds of shit. And they're like, oh.
That's the smartest thing in the world to do. If you go to prison, say I identify as a female.
Yeah, I would do it. Fuck it. If I knew I was gonna have to be there for a long time, if I could get a woman, put me over there with the chicks, goddammit. I mean, you be running the block, beating motherfuckers' asses up.
Exactly. You're gonna be the toughest on the unit.
And just let me throw this in just real quick on what you said. People get it confused, and it, like I said, it's building on exactly what you said. In the 60s, back then, you could talk about the vote as a tool of power, and I think there's a lot of confusion comes from here, because we had a voting block. We had black folk that would vote as a block, where black folks went. You had people like Dr. King and Malcolm and whatnot informing the folks, so we'd at least have an idea of the direction that we need to be pushing. Whereas we got, Ricky Smiley and them going in just fucked up directions and whatnot. But essentially, like you said, we don't have that block. They talk about it in terms of block, but it's not a conscious block. It's just this manipulative, this malleable group of sheep that can be headed any kind. It's a different block. It's a bunch of individuals that are going to do whatever these individuals want to do. And typically these individuals are following the same sheep herders to go in. So it's not the same dynamic. Whereas at one point you could talk about the vote as a way to affect the system and get things done for us. Nowadays you can't, because we don't have that cohesiveness. We don't have a community. I think it was Professor Smalls, I saw him was talking about how the community has to have, in order to be a community, you'd have to have certain things that exist within there. If you don't, you have a neighborhood, and there's a difference, and we don't have a community. The essence of community is unity. We don't have that, so we have no voting power. I don't care what you vote, because even if we get somebody black in there, there's no way to hold them accountable. If for no other reason, because we got dumb motherfuckers saying, stop trying to hold them accountable, just get them into office and then go back to work. And that's it. So that ability to affect shit through the vote is gone. It's gone. The dynamic has shifted so much, it's just not there, not for us.